Well, Brian, that was a little different than what we're used to experiencing around here. Colorado wins 20-13 in overtime. Kudos, you picked the Buffaloes to win. You kept the faith. Obviously, a different energy within this program, and it's hard to talk about this game without talking negatively about Carl Durrell and Chris Wilson. That's just the reality of it. It's kind of an addition by subtraction. Is kind of my takeaway from today.
Yeah, and I'll say I'm wrong a lot of times, but what I saw today is what I thought in my prediction, and it's that I thought that the energy and everything that we had heard, and that the defense was playing so much better and faster in practice. I thought that they would take that to today and feed off the 50,000 fans over here. I think they did that, and they weren't perfect. There was a lot of mistakes that they made today, but defensively they didn't make a whole lot, and they played a really good football game today. And I haven't seen a lot of fourth quarters this year because I'm usually writing, and the fourth quarters don't matter. We got to see some bonus football even, and that was a lot of fun. Not always great on deadline; it's always stressful, but that was a lot of fun, right? So I give Mike Sanford, Gerald Chapman, the coaches, all the players credit for really creating new energy and taking that on the game day, because that's the biggest thing that this team has needed to do. We've heard about all the great things in the practice for months, right? But they've never been able to take it to Saturday. They finally took one to Saturday.
Brian, they had 15 tackles for a loss and 1 interception through 5 games. Today they had 10 tackles for a loss and an interception. So Trevor Woods, we heard him say, this is the most fun I've had since I've been here. And again, I'm trying to kind of look forward to it. It's the easy target is Carl Durrell and his maybe the lack of fun that he created in this program, but it's a real thing. And I love that Montana Lamonius Craig in the post-game press conference, when I asked him what it's been like to play for Mike Sanford, he said, we love Carl Durrell. It was nice to have him say that, but the energy is just so different.
Yeah, and I have not heard very many players, really any, say they don't like Carl Durrell. They've all said they like Carl Durrell, but there is something about coaching young men that are 18 to 22, 23 years old. I guess some of them are 24. But young guys, they need that energy. And I think we've talked about it before, but I think Carl Durrell's a good football coach, but he was not pressing the right buttons here with these young men. And Mike Sanford, he said, hey, it's all about the players, not me. It's not all about them, because he pressed the buttons. What he's done the last 2 weeks has been tremendous. Everything he's done is press the right buttons. And hey, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. This is Cal. This is not beating Oregon, beating USC. You beat an okay Cal team at home and you needed overtime to do it. Who cares, right? He pressed all the right buttons and got this team to believe and to play really good football.
They were giving up almost 300 yards per game on the ground, 294.2 through the first 5 games. Today, Cal and true freshman stud Jaden Ott, that offense is limited to 35 yards. So it was just a fantastic performance by that defense. When they came on the field, you expected them to get stops, and it's been a while since we felt that way, probably since the Washington game here last year.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And hey, remember Jaden Ott had a 12-yard carry on the first play of the game. Yeah. So it was after that they had 23 yards the rest of the day rushing. All those tackles for loss. He had one big run that I remember, but not a whole lot. And, credit the Buffs. They were flying around defensively. You and I talked about it at halftime. It just seemed like in the first 5 games there were 11 guys going in their own direction, and this seemed like 5, 6, 7 guys going in the same direction to the ball, and they were all right there. There were a lot of times where you saw somebody else come in and clean up a tackle, and if there was a missed tackle, somebody else was right there immediately to finish the tackle. And so that's what impressed me was the offense still was not very impressive. They needed overtime to even hit 20 points, but they did what they needed to do. But defensively is what really impressed me. I couldn't believe the turnaround you see from one game to the next.
2 just incredible plays down the stretch in this football game. I didn't think there was any possibility that Montana Lamonius Craig came down with that, and you really had to pause the video to show that for a brief second there he had a foot in with possession of the ball. And then Trevor Woods with the pass breakup in the end zone. If I'm a high school defensive backs coach, I'm showing that to my team. That is textbook, never give up on a play. Again, a split second away from being a touchdown for Cal. Going back to the Washington game again last November, almost 11 months ago since their last win, the Nico Reed interception in the end zone in that game, it's been since then, since we've had a couple game-winning type plays to look at like that.
Yeah, and both of those, I mean, split second, just hairline plays that won this game. And I didn't think Montana was in. I mean, like you, I mean, I kind of thought that wasn't really close. Mike Sanford thought the same thing. He said his initial reaction was getting mad at JT Trout that he threw the ball out of bounds. But Montana was like, I knew I was in. You know, receiver's always going to say that, right? But credit to him getting that foot down. And Trevor Woods, just a heck of a play. I mean, if he's there a half a second later, that's a catch, and we're going into a second overtime. And so, yeah, winning plays have not happened a whole lot around here. And so to see those two in those moments, it was pretty awesome.
Asked Mike Sanford after the game about the quarterback situation. He said that Owen McCown took a shot to his abdomen, and he felt like, having played the position, Mike Sanford, that he just wasn't with it enough to keep going there, so he went with JT Trout. I don't really think there's a quarterback controversy yet. I think when Owen McCown is ready to go, he'll be the starter again. At least that's what I took away from what Mike Sanford said after the game. I guess we'll find out as we go forward. But JT Trout didn't exactly light the world on fire when he came in, so I think you would want to go back to Owen when he's healthy, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. But I do credit JT Trout. He played, for coming off the bench, I thought he played fairly well, and he did throw the game-winning touchdown pass. So you got to give him some credit. One other thing we should mention, Deion Smith.
Yes,
you know, and obviously we saw that it was a very scary play. Mike Sanford said that he was up walking around. So very good to hear, because when you see him strapped down like that, you wonder, is he paralyzed? He was up walking around, and Sanford said I think he was more emotional because he didn't get to celebrate with the rest of the team. So really good news out of Deion Smith. I don't know what that means. Obviously, it's probably too early to know. Is he going to play next week? Is he done for the year? Who knows? But who cares at this point? The best part is he's up walking around.
Absolutely. Anthony Hankerson is emerged at the right time for this program. Not big numbers today, but man, he gets some yards when it doesn't look like there's anything there. He kind of scoots rather than runs. He's got that low center of gravity. He's kind of hard to find out there sometimes, and I think it's tough for defenses to kind of locate him at times. He's got a bright future, but he hasn't really emerged with the huge explosive runs yet, but I've been impressed with him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you could argue he was the best true freshman running back on the field today. And that's saying a lot with Jaden Ott. So I thought he played pretty well and did a nice job when Deion went out, knowing he was going to be the workhorse from that point. He did a great job.
All right, Colorado gets their first win. They'll head out to Oregon State next week.